Hi, everybody. Welcome to Diaspora Diaries. My name is Ratna Nagarajan. The Diaspora Diaries is a lecture series marking 75 years of India's independence, started by Amrita Shergill Cultural Center and the Embassy of India. So, as a member of the Indian diaspora in Budapest, I am thrilled and happy to be a part of this series. My topic today, um, if you have seen the poster, you would know it's about the rare, undiscovered, or less known jewels, touristic sites of India. And I hope you can come with me on a journey and share what I have discovered about these less known sites in India. So we can go to the presentation now. Okay, I have a little bit of sniffle, so if I don't sound too well, please excuse me. So I'll start off. Incredible India simply brings up to our mind only one thing, and that is tourism. And tourism in India is not just about discovering and going to places, it's more about an experience, experiencing the culture, the people, the taste, the food, and a whole lot of other things. So, tourism, holidays, what does this mean? I mean, I'm not talking about the popular sites of India most of you know about, but today, as I said, we will go to the less known and less visited places. To give you some background about myself and what holidays and tourism meant to me growing up in India, I came from a middle class family. I grew up in a city called Hyderabad. Holidays and tourism was not really a part of my upbringing, like on a major scale. So I've done more of it in Europe compared to India. Life was simple: school, back home, played with friends, visited relatives. If we went somewhere, it was for a wedding or maybe to visit a temple in the nearby city or state in India. But not much do I remember. I remember going on one, two, three holidays with my parents, but more after moving to the West have I discovered what holidays and tourism is about. Um, but yeah, so let's go and see about some of these less visited places. So I invite you to come with me, buckle your seatbelt, and we can go. Okay, where should we start? Think makes logical sense to start at the head of the country at Jammu. So Jammu and Kashmir, we'll start there. What are the sites there? Okay. If you have any questions, comments, you can write them in the chat box. But this can be a bit of a quiz as well. How many of you recognize this picture or have you seen this somewhere? Do you know anything about it? If you do, make sure you put this into the chat box and let me know what you think. This is Ladakh. It's by far, what do you say, very beautiful, very scenic place in the north of India. And this picture here, what you see is the magnetic hill. And what is the magnetic hill and why the magnetic hill? Basically, magnetic hill because when you park your car on this, at the end of the picture, you see a slight slope going upwards. So it's an uphill, right? And what people say is if you park your car on a marked position, the car actually rolls, but not downwards, but upwards. It's basically an optical illusion. It gives you the illusion of a car rolling upwards. But there are some interesting theories behind this. They say that this is caused due to magnetic interference, a magnetic strength or a force in that area. And apparently, the Indian Air Force avoids this route because they don't want this turbulence or this interference on their devices. And another interesting fact is apparently it is known to be the gateway to heaven. So if you want to visit heaven, you know where to go. You need to find this hill. It's a pretty scenery, right? Reminds me of all the Bollywood movies where they go in this cabrio cars nice mountains on both sides, dark, clear blue skies. But yeah, I mean, it is a popular Bollywood shooting location, Ladakh, as I know. Next here is the Yarab So Lake. I don't know if anybody has heard about this. This lake is regarded as one of the holiest and high altitude lakes in the Nubra Valley. Not a very high resolution picture here, but if you Google it, you should find many outstanding photos. It's a freshwater lake. Because it's holy, you are not allowed to wash your feet or bathe in this river. What you're allowed to is to sit on the banks, meditate, and soak in all the energy and the calmness over there. It's also called one of Ladakh's best kept secrets, but we know, I mean, how do you get here? As I've written, it's approximately 15 kilometers, and you can't drive there. You will have to hike up the hill. It's a very short hike, just 20 minutes, and you can soak in and take all the beauty of nature here. Now, since we talked about the Nubra Valley, I want to tell you a little bit about this valley. Let me pause this here because if you love adventure and getting off the beaten track, this Nubra Valley will be the highlight of your travel. It's also known to be the highest motorable roads of the world. You will find a lot of pictures where people are driving their motorbikes, and it's a part of many adventure travels here. And something that is intriguing is this area is notable for connecting India to the southern branch of the old Road, trade route from China. What else? So, this part of Ladakh is at an altitude of over 3,000 meters above sea level. Yeah, that is about 10,000 feet. And another interesting fact is that the Nubra Valley is Buddhist heritage. It has prominent monasteries here. The largest one is clustered on a hill above Dikshit. So, if you're visiting and if you're willing to wake up pretty early and arrive at dawn, you should be able to see some monks offering morning prayers with their cymbals and chanting and the horns. So, it should be a pretty sight to catch if you are there. Now that we have seen Nubra Valley, I thought it might not be a bad idea to show you a short clipping from a recently not recent one of the Bollywood movies. Again, it's a very popular Bollywood shooting location. So let me see if I can play this so you can see. This is from a movie called Bhag Milka Bhag. He was a fantastic athlete in India. He was a sprint runner, but this video is just to show you the valley. Amazing, right? Look at the mountains, look at the valleys. Anyway, that gives you an idea. So if you get there, then trust me, you are almost like in heaven. It's a beautiful place. I haven't been there. India is quite a big country, but at some point, I'm hoping I will go there. Now we will move where to next. There we are. We are at Meghalaya. Okay, what about in Meghalaya? Does anybody know anything about these bridges? Does it ring any bells, any ideas, thoughts? Put them in the chat window so we can see. So these are the Living Roots Bridge of Meghalaya. What do we know about these bridges? So these are home to unique bridges in the hills of Ghasi and Jani jungles. And why are they unique? They are unique because they are created by weaving and manipulating the roots of the rubber tree Fiscus elastica. So these living root bridges have for centuries helped the tribal people there. And these generations of people have been looking after these bridges and making sure that they are looked after, and they help people to get from one place to another, or for transportation of their products. So you see the people here. What they are doing is, first of all, they build a bamboo framework, bridge over the river. So these bamboo sticks you see, and then they manipulate the roots of the tree, the Fiscus elastica, so that they can entwine around the frame. So every 2 years, this framework needs to change, apparently, because of the damp and humid conditions. I remember seeing a documentary on BBC years ago. This documentary was on a person called Morning Star. I don't know if any of you have seen this. But he was a 23-year-old school dropout and the founder of Living Bridge Foundation, LBF, which is dedicated to the preservation of these bridges. So, yeah, it is unique indeed, unique, and it is a part of our cultural heritage in the Meghalaya region. You listen to this music, they have beautiful music. As I say, tourism in India is an experience, yeah. The culture, the music, the food, it comes as a complete package. Okay, let's move on to the next one, perhaps. Madhya Pradesh it is next. What do we have in Madhya Pradesh? I should tell you, I had a lot of fun putting this presentation together. I seriously discovered so many places. There's just so much to do that I cannot put everything in one, but I had to pick and choose. But during this process of picking and choosing, I learned so much about the country and these places that after this, you should go Google and find out and learn a little more about places that you can explore. I'm sure you won't be disappointed. There is plenty. My next location or site is Burhanpur and the Jama Masjid there. Why? So, a little bit of details on Burhanpur. Not many probably know this place, but it occupied a prominent place in the empire during the Mughal times, since it was a strategic location from the view in which they could control the Deccan region. So, Shah Jahan spent a considerable number of years here in the Deccan region before he became the king. And where is this? It's about 200 kilometers from Indore, as you see it there. That's the fort, the Shahi Killa that you see on the right hand side. And that river is the river Tapti. So what's unique about Jama Masjid? What is that I wanted to share with you? So Jama Masjid actually is roofless. It has no roof, but you see these little arches here. They give you the illusion of a roof. And as you see here, this is very popular for an inscription, which is in the mosque. And this inscription is in bilingual language. So there are two languages included. If anybody has any guesses, you can let me know which one you think might be these two languages. If you know it, type it in the chat box. Otherwise, I will reveal it in my next slide anyway. But remember, India is secular, very secular, and we are very welcoming to everyone. So maybe that'll give you some clues. I don't know, but we'll check out. That's the inscription. Again, I apologize. It is low resolution, but you can Google and find better ones. But here, the cat is out of the bag. You saw the answer before I could tell it to you. So yeah, it is in Sanskrit and Arabic. Yeah, some little tadka here. There was a note in Persian by Akbar, which is found on one of the walls. So that is why this is popular, this masjid. So it is the only place where you can find this bilingual inscription, by the way, in it. What do we have next? Ahu Khana. Any guesses what Ahu Khana is? Anybody? This is not the khana that we eat. This could be a historical site, a monument, maybe, if you want to guess. Okay, let's go a little more to see if you can find out with this music. I don't know if you can hear it. जो वादा किया वो निभाना पड़ेगा. That's a song. Any clues, any ideas? Anybody put them in the chat box, but I'll show you a picture. This is Ahu Khana. So, what is Ahu Khana? Historical records say that Mumtaz's mortal remains were kept here for 6 months. So that's why that song, Shah Jahan, Mumtaz. And in heydays, Ahu Khana was a vibrant retreat for the royal Mughals. But today, as you see, it looks very abandoned and looks more like a ruin. Yeah. Due to its poor maintenance, apparently the Ahukhana gets only 80 to 100 visitors, which is sad. I don't know if this is recent information, but if you are there, I think you should become the 101st visitor and pay some, add to the visiting potential of this place. These places should be brought up back to their splendor, in my opinion. So, what else was here? So here's some fact for you. The dead body of Mumtaz Mahal was kept in the garden on the shores of Yamuna River. Can you guess for how many days or years? I'm sure most of it you know it, but 22 years before the completion of Taj Mahal, apparently. That's a long, long time, right? Okay, I'm going to move on. Where are you taking us next? Gujarat. Yay, that's one of my favorites. Let's see what in Gujarat. Gujarat, when somebody says Gujarat, it reminds me of Garba Dandiya food. But there's more to Gujarat. Yeah. Another nice piece of music. Okay. Oh God, the cat is out of the bag again. Before I could ask you what this place was. So this is Run of Kutch. Anybody wants to guess what this is? This white, whatever you see on the picture? Could it be sand? Could it be soil? Could it be stone? What do you think it probably could be? Let me know. So, the Run of Kutch is also known as the Great Run of Kutch. One of my favorite places that I discovered. I mean, I'm sure it's very popular, but for me, it was remarkable to find this place. And I have seen one, it's a salt desert, by the way, that is salt, if I haven't mentioned. There's a similar salt desert in Bolivia. And if I'm not wrong, I think that's the largest in the world. But the Run of Kutch is also a very large one. Some details for you. It is a sensitive area due to its proximity to the Pakistani border. Therefore, if you want to visit, you will need a permit for the salt desert. And apparently, this can be obtained on the way at the Bhirandiara village, where a sweet called Mawa is very, very popular. So this is checkpoint about 55 kilometers from Bhuj. Now, take all this information at face value because I'm not sure how much of it is still true. This is just research material. But if you want to visit, please go ahead and do some research yourself and see how much of this is true. If you really need a permit, you don't need, I don't know what has changed, but it definitely looks like a place you cannot miss if you are visiting Gujarat. Okay, so when it's monsoon, all the salt, what happens when you dissolve salt in water? Of course, it becomes water. Look at that. Sometimes it amazes me that there are places like this in India. It looks so surreal, right? I wouldn't imagine. Okay, that went a bit too fast. So this is during monsoon season when the salt converts into water and the salt desert is underwater. But this happens only for a short period of time, apparently. And look at the size of this. It's about 10,000 square kilometers. And for the remaining, okay, 8 months of the year, it is a desert. And then for a short while, it is into water. And who are these people, do you think? Well, it is a salt desert. So there must be somebody who's cultivating or making use of the salt. So these are the agarias, the salt farmers. And what's amazes me is 75% of India's total salt comes from here. Isn't that incredible? Can't imagine eating food without salt, right? Thanks to these hardworking people who work under very, very hot circumstances to make sure we get a decent and tasty meal on our table. Anyway, that was really incredible for me to note, and I'm sure you would appreciate that as well. So when you visit them, I'm sure I hope you remember all the hard work that goes into the salt. Or when you eat your next meal, I think we should thank the agarias for the salt. Okay, where are we going next? Sorry for my sniffles. Okay, take us away, Air India. Chhattisgarh. All right. So, Chhattisgarh is one of the newly formed states in India. If for those of you who don't know about it, it took me quite some time to find out what was really unique in Chhattisgarh. So, I hope you like my findings. I found Mindpat. In some places, it says Manipat. So, I really am not sure which is the right pronunciation for this. And the music here, you must listen to the folk music or the regional music. It is beautiful. I don't know if you can hear it, but I did try to put some regional music into every location, but looks like I've not done a great job. Yeah, anyway, but you can find it easily online. So, what's great about or unique about Mindpad? Yeah, you see it's green. So, could it be a hill station? Do you think so? Let's find out. So, Mindpat, apparently in the years 1962 to 1963, about 1,400 Tibetans migrated to India, and 3,000 acres of land in Mindpat Hill was allocated to these refugees. And today, Mindpat boasts of a large population of Buddhists and features many significant monasteries. What's beautiful, it is also called the Shimla of Chhattisgarh, and the landscapes, the greenery, the fresh air is what makes this place visit worthy and unique. And of course, the monasteries and the Tibetans over there. The other place that caught my attention in Chhattisgarh was this. What do you think this is? I mean, it's pretty clear, it looks like a cave, but why should a cave be so special? What do you think? If you know, write down your comments in the chat box and we will see how much you can guess. These are the Sitabenga caves or the Jogimara caves. What's unique about it? It is located in a mountain range, Ramgiri or Ramgarh. And this cave is known to be the spot where Lord Rama and Sita from the Ramayana, the mythology Ramayana, for those of you who don't know, they spent some time while they were in their exile. So if you went into the cave and you explored the cave, you could see or you could get to see old paintings on the walls and the roofs of the cave. And these paintings are somewhat ancient and they are known to be painted with natural colors. So that is what makes this holy and interesting and unique at the same time. Look at the colors of it also. It does look unique. Okay, that was a little bit about Chhattisgarh. Where do we go next? Andhra Pradesh. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I was born and brought up in Hyderabad in AP. This was before there was this Telangana and AP divide. So I come from Hyderabad. So What in AP do I want to share with you? There's a lot, but as I said, we are limited in time and I can't talk about everything, so I had to be picky and choosy. The Hanging Pillars of Lipakshi is what I chose because it's quite a unique location, and the hanging pillars are very, very sought after in terms of mystery and how come a pillar can hang. Hanging pillar literally means a pillar that's hanging. How can something hang without a base, right? So that's what makes it unique. And this is in the temple. AP is famous, like Tamil Nadu, it's famous for many temples with very rich architecture, as you can see here. This is the Veerabhadra temple. And Veerabhadra temple is for Lord Shiva, but the Lord Shiva is one of our gods, deities that we worship. And the typical image of Shiva that you would see would be a Shiva meditating with a trishul in his hand with Parvati beside him. But this image that you see is rather an aggressive or a furious form of Shiva. This temple is dedicated to him, and this is in the Anantapur district. I want to tell you a little story as to why you see Shiva in this form and who is Veerabhadra. So there was a goddess. I mean, the gods, goddesses keep taking births and taking form. So there was a princess called Sati, and Sati was the youngest daughter of a king called Daksha Prajapati. And Sati happens to fall in love with Shiva, and she adores him. She wants to marry him. Daksh, being a typical father, says, I want to see who the Shiva is. Oh, this man has ashes around him, on his body. He's got snakes around his neck. His hair is open. He looks pretty shabby. I don't think he's the right person for you. But Sati is adamant. She goes against her father's wishes and marries Shiva. While the happy couple are in their abode, this king Daksh, he organizes a yagna. A yagna is a fire ritual done in India where you invite a lot of people. There is fire, you offer sacrifices, you do a lot of mantras, meditation, praying. It's supposed to be a grand event. And Daksh invites everybody in Devlok, which is the celestial abode of all the gods and goddesses. He invites everybody, but Shiva and Sati. Of course, Sati is angry. If my dad didn't invite me to one of his grand events, I will be annoyed. Sati was annoyed, which is very natural. And then she pleaded with Shiva to go to the yajna. And although he tried to stop her, she is his wife. And like any other husband, he gave in and said, okay, go ahead. So, long story short, Sati went there and asked her father why she was not invited. And Daksha said a lot of insulting things about Shiva. That's why he did not. And that led to Sati, out of humiliation, jump into the fire, and she gave up herself. She died, basically. And when Shiva came to know of this, he was very, very angry. And this anger and this aggression of Shiva took the form of Veerabhadra. Actually, to be honest, the story goes that one of his, I think, locks of his hair turned into this Veerabhadra. It is basically Shiva, a form of Shiva, who went there and he cut off Daksha's head. But Daksh survived because other gods pleaded him and said, please restore his life back. They apparently found a goat head. And Daksha now, if you look at the image of King Daksha, he would have a goat head. And his life was restored because Veerabhadra calmed down. So that's the story of this temple. And not many times do we hear of Shiva being an aggressive person. But here he was. I guess every man would be when something like that happens to his wife. So fair enough. Let's move on. So where does this name Lepakshi come from? Anybody, any ideas, any thoughts? If you think you know, let me know. But I'm going to play you something and let's see if you can get some tips or hints from this. I don't know if you can hear this. Okay, he said, "मैं हूँ लंकापति Ravan." This is a clip from the Ramayana. If you didn't hear it, that's what he said. "मैं हूँ लंकापति Ravan, Ravan हूँ Ravan." So anybody, I think it's going back a little bit to Ramayana. It's very clear anyway. So the story is this: when Ravan tried to take Sita away, he tried to usurp her, take her away to Lanka. There was this bird called Jatayu who tried to stop him and save Sita from this. But Ravan was obviously more powerful and he chopped the wings of Jatayu, and Jatayu was injured, could not follow. But when Ram went searching, he found Jatayu, and Jatayu explained the whole thing and said how Ravan had taken his wife away, which direction they went, how strong he is. He did give critical data, but sadly he was wounded in the process. So in Telugu language, if I split the word up, lay and pakshi, pakshi means a bird, lay means literally get up or rise. So lay pakshi means get up bird. So it is, they think, the story goes that this happened in the Lepakshi. That is why the name Lepakshi comes from. It's nice to know there are stories behind these, people just didn't make up names, but there is some logical reasoning behind this. And this pillar, the hanging pillar, there's a photo there. You see, so of course, there is something holding it up, but there's nothing down, there's no base. So many people who visit this, I have visited it as a child. You can put a paper, many people do that. They put a newspaper or a piece of cloth under it to make sure that that's the truth, that there's nothing holding, and it does go through. So there is no lying here, there is no um, other thing. It is literally hanging, there is nothing on the ground. You see a beautiful shivalinga there, it's amazing. So that was from me. So we covered from Jammu, we went to Ladakh, we went to Meghalaya, we went Jammu Kashmir, we did Meghalaya, we did Madhya Pradesh, we did Gujarat, we did Chhattisgarh, then we came down to Andhra Pradesh. If there was time, I would do much more. And I wanted to talk a lot as well, but I don't know how we are doing on time. But if you have any questions, comments, then I would love to see them, or if I can answer them, I would be happy to answer them. But at this point, I would like to thank the embassy, the Indian Embassy, Amrita Shergill Center, and Ms. Tanuja for giving me this incredible opportunity to talk about Incredible India. I leave you here with the thought that, in my honest opinion, incredible word is too small to define Incredible India. India is beyond magnificent. There is so much to see, so much to discover, so much to learn. It is rich, it is a rich experience, and every time you visit the country, you come back with so much more than yourself. So I would encourage you all to plan. Of course, with this COVID, I don't know, but if you get an opportunity, do plan, visit the country, discover these amazing places, and grow richer in your experience. Thank you, and namaste.